All right, well, that wasn't bad for Manaless Dredge. We got absolutely crushed a couple times, and then did pretty well the other two, or other three. So we ended up with a winning record. Not bad, not bad at all. So, I mean, that's kind of the bottom line with this deck. As far as wrapping it up, the bottom line is the deck is very good in game ones, although we didn't always show it, but it's heavily favored in most matchups game one. And then in game 2 and 3, we just gotta hope we dodge the hate. And the thing with this deck is, there isn't much of a way around that. You can make some slight changes to the sideboard, but really, it is what it is. With no lands, we can't beat Graveyard Hate. It's not gonna happen unless we start adding lands to our deck and changing the entire thing and playing non-manaless dredge or mana dredge, normal dredge, whatever you want to call it. Unless we start doing that, there's no way around that. It's not like we can build our deck in a different way to be able to beat Graveyard Hate. There's just nothing we can do. So the way this works is essentially, we want to win game one 90% of the time. And then we hope that our opponent isn't playing that many Graveyard Hate cards in their sideboard, and that in at least one out of the two post-board matches, they don't draw them. If they play a Leyline on turn one, as we saw in our very first match, we literally just scoop it up. There's no sense in even playing it out. We can't do anything. Game is over. So it's, to some extent, it's a metagame deck. If people are playing 6 Graveyard Hate spells in their sideboard, if everyone's playing 4 Leylines of the Void or 4 Rest in Peace on top of a couple other like Surgical Extraction type effects, Deathrite Shamans obviously aren't devastating. We won through the Deathrite Shamans there, but they are still good against us. So it depends on the meta and how much Graveyard Hate people are playing. If people aren't playing a ton of Graveyard Hate, the deck is actually really good, and we are very, very good when there's no Graveyard Hate in the format. We're extremely hard to interact with. All the things that wreck other combo-y decks in Legacy, Force of Will, Spell Pierces, they're not really that great against us. Yeah, they can catch our Dread Returns, but we can win without Dread Return just by making a million zombies, and even if they do catch our Dread Return, likely we're getting a bunch of zombies out of it anyway. So we interact on such a odd and different level than everything else in the format. The normal trump cards that people play just don't do anything against us. That's why we have a good matchup against a lot of decks. So it's 100% about those sideboard cards and just how often we run into them. So basically, if you want to try Legacy and your local meta is not really prepared for it, you can go and crush a tournament with this deck. This deck has top 8'd big tournaments before. It is definitely doable when you catch people sort of with their pants down, when people are sleeping on Dredge and not playing enough Graveyard Hate. But then people will start playing more Graveyard Hate, and you just literally can't do anything about it. We could have run into 5 matchups in a row where our opponent mulliganed into Rest in Peace or Leyline of the Void, and we would have went 0-5. That's just the bottom line. There's nothing we can do. So I don't know. I think it depends on your local meta. It's really fun to play, and for Legacy, it is incredibly cheap. So if you want a cheap entry deck into Legacy that is incredibly powerful but somewhat inconsistent, this is probably one of the better starting points, along with something like Burn maybe, for jumping into the Legacy format, especially and if you just want to try something that's really different and unique. It's one of those things that everyone should try once, like stasis locking people out of the game, things like that. You should try it once, because playing Dredge is unlike playing any other kind of Magic you've ever played before, and playing Manaless Dredge is even more so, because you don't even have lands to deal with, so it's a unique experience that you should probably try out. Anyway, that's been our Much Abrew About Nothing for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the videos, and I will talk to you soon.